Hello, welcome back to another video. Today we have a lot to talk about, including local and national weather, and a tropical update. To begin, in the Western Pacific, the two systems we are watching in the near on the South China Sea and the Philippines have really been dying off and are not really expected to become tropical cyclones any longer. Irie is pretty much gone as it moves to the northeast, and its remnants are just fizzling out. Looking at the Eastern Pacific, we still have the La Nina, but a lot of the waters have been above average warm. You could say it's like the Atlantic. The reason we've had more activity in the Atlantic was less activity in the Atlantic was because of the Saharan dust and the wind shear that just been occurring. The overall pattern is that it's supposed to be more Atlantic activity, but for now we've just been seeing more activity. We could see these cooler waters in the equatorial regions, and then slightly to the north still in the tropics we see some activity right now. Darby is currently a Category 3. It rapidly intensified overnight, and it is expected to keep its intensity as a major hurricane, and might even become a Category 4. It is not expected to hit land, but its impacts may reach all the way towards Hawaii with minor impacts. Looking at the disturbance behind it, Invest 96E, I'm pretty sure. It is expected to have medium to high chances of development in the 5-day range, not in the 2-day range. And from here, it might go north where it could bring some moisture along with some of the monsoon that is much needed in the southwest. Moving on to the United States, we have just a lot of drought conditions going on in this region, especially in Nevada, when we really haven't been seeing a lot of this drought go away with the monsoon. And it's been so below average precipitation lately that the triple dip La Nina, or 3-year La Nina, that's been going on here has been allowing for just dry conditions in the west, and particularly the southwest, and just hot conditions are expected to continue. And Lake Mead is at historic lows with water levels, and it's not looking good with a lot of people depending on that water to live their everyday lives. Not a good situation. Looking onto the southeast, we are seeing this high pressure beginning to build in, and a lot of that activity really beginning for this region. A lot of that thunderstorm and just general activity continuing. That's going to be allowing for drier conditions and potentially a warmer, even a hot summer. But we do have this tropical system with a particularly odd track, quite uncommon. We get it sometimes with these trailing cold fronts, but it's not usually like this. This cold front has been nearly stationary or advancing quite slowly, allowing for this system to actually move south into the Gulf and could form in the 5-day range and impact Texas. Looking at down here, we see this green region, which shows more precipitation. As we get into late July into August, we will likely be seeing more activity with the thunderstorms and pop-ups and drier conditions in the orange region for the southeast. We also see the Bermuda High and just the general high pressure in the northern subtropical Atlantic and cooler waters in the eastern Atlantic, allowing for less activity there and more above average everywhere, pretty much everywhere else in the basin, with some tropical activity possible throughout the season. We see these likely system tracks. We could be seeing some maritime Canada and east coast of United States, a couple of those systems this year, and I'm really watching for the southeast coast with a couple Florida storms, Cuba, and maybe Mexico systems really seeming possible, and as usual, much of the Caribbean. The MDR region is really inactive right now due to the Saharan dust, but it's expected to really pick up soon and that Saharan dust to really drop off as we get closer to peak season. But yeah, these are the normal storm tracks, likely storm tracks that we could be seeing as we get into the peak season of hurricane season. We are going back to Darby right now. This is our pretty much only system really active as a tropical cyclone right now, and it is expected to stay as a major hurricane for a little while after its rapid intensification overnight. Alright, looking forward to satellite imagery. Darby has formed an eye very unexpectedly as its strengthening phase has really gone through the roof, which wasn't expected to happen, and yeah, it is very impressive to look at. Looks very strong. But going on to other things, this is the location with a central pressure of 968 millibars, which is very strong. This wasn't expected to be this strong. As we can see, it is Category 3, maybe a Category 4. It's expected to strengthen just a little bit before dying off in the cooler waters. Going on to the Darby, we see its general track. It is expected to move generally south of Hawaii, but it could go somewhere near there, just to the south or over. But most likely it will go just south of the islands. Going on to the cone, you could see its storm force winds, and this is expected to be a major hurricane until around 2 p.m. Tuesday, according to the NHC. 2 p.m. tomorrow, and then it is expected to become a hurricane and tropical storm, and then eventually become post-tropical with depression winds before it even gets close to Hawaii. Alright, now looking at there's not much else going on. We can see the Atlantic. We have this upper level low that isn't going to be forming anything tropical, but this is trying to get itself organized, and we have this thunderstorm complex moving on to Michigan right now and into Illinois and Indiana, and it will move into the northeast in our region tomorrow. Now, forecast models. We'll do the short range first. Where's the northeast? We see a lot of these thunderstorms today developing, and then getting into tomorrow, they start off in western New York and Pennsylvania before switching over to the NAM 3KM. This is a little bit overdone, I think. And then these thunderstorms look a little more isolated on this model. I do think there might be a little bit more storms, but we could see a passing, isolated chance of a strong thunderstorm in our area. Looking onto another model, we see a lot more thunderstorms. But yeah, we see that isolated tornado, hail, and wind threat going on here with maybe some squally weather here and there. But yeah, going on to the GFS model, we'll go back to the entire country. We see that front moving through, and then this tropical system is actually expected to move onshore of Louisiana instead of going to Texas. And then we really see that move out and weaken. We see this potential storm going up west of Baja California. It might become a hurricane on the GFS, but I don't know how likely that is, since it's been the less slightly less trustworthy model. The Invest 90s, the disturbance in the Northern Gulf, the European picked on that first, so that's why the NHC really picked up on that too. The GFS, the European, doesn't show it really forming into too much of anything. The system in the Gulf, and yeah, we see a lot of a drier air mass come in by late this week. Going on to Hurricane Darby, just wind speed probabilities. We see a lot of that tropical storm force wind probabilities. It's really expected to stay as its intensity for a little while, and then become post-tropical and lose all its storm force winds before it reaches Hawaii or just south of Hawaii. Finally, looking at the global sea surface temperatures, we really see the Atlantic warming up. The East Pacific is pretty warm, but the ocean heat content is not too favorable, but we're still seeing some storms there. Western Pacific, piping hot, a lot of ocean heat content, and the ocean heat content in the Atlantic is really beginning to just skyrocket. And any storms that could form when the dust and wind shear really clears out is going to make this season really begin to just explode with activity. We could be seeing some major systems coming up. Finally, just looking at our current radar imagery, we have some special marine warnings, and that just shows some strong thunderstorms currently, and we could be seeing those, we will be seeing those strong thunderstorms moving on to Michigan soon. According to the SPC, isolated damaging winds are possible, but a watch is not likely. That's the only mesoscale discussion currently. For fire, we could be seeing some isolated dry thunderstorms and elevated chance of fire today in Nevada. Day 2, we see more of the same thing, in 3 to 8, nothing yet. Then going on to okay, not to mention we'll probably be seeing those more stronger thunderstorms later today. Yeah, we could be seeing especially some severe thunderstorms today in Illinois, Indiana, southern Michigan, and northwestern Ohio today, with a large marginal thunderstorm risk and the thunderstorm threat really moving into our region by tomorrow. Isolated tornadoes possible, probably just 1 or 2. Doesn't look like too big of a threat, but look out for any watches or warnings. Wind and hail looks definitely more likely with the more likely scenario for this day. Then we get to tomorrow with a large marginal risk with a small slight risk and a large general thunderstorm risk. We'll have more of this to come soon. Going on to tornadoes, we could be seeing an isolated tornado or 2 with those potentially squally thunderstorms and maybe a couple of QLCSs or spin-ups if it becomes a squall line of some sort. Hail looks a little bit diminished, but wind looks like the biggest threat, just for those stronger and marginally severe thunderstorms. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we really see the system move out. We could see those isolated thunderstorms after, but we still have a marginal risk for the southeast. And we'll still be seeing some activity here, but it looks like it'll be drying up a little bit here, with the pattern to come. More on that soon, and then predictability too low for the next 8 days after the first 3 days. Just wrapping up here, we see just the current radar imagery. No watches currently, and storm reports, nothing right now, but we could be seeing a couple of those today. Looking at thunderstorm outlook, we We're really expecting some thunderstorms for the monsoonal activity, but it'll still be very dry with so much precipitation that hasn't been falling. And we're really seeing those thunderstorm risks move into the Midwest and into the Great Plains and the interior, not the Great Plains, the interior Northeast. Just looking at finally, just looking at the National Weather Service, we see a lot of the heat with extreme heat in Arizona and Texas, with heat advisories and excessive heat warnings all the way up to 110 degrees or even a little bit higher, especially in Arizona and maybe even southern California, eastern California, that is. And then looking at our region, just for the next few days, the Weather Service shows Tuesday into Tuesday night and Wednesday, shows some slight chance of thunderstorms, with some thunderstorms potentially being stronger. And then we could be seeing a more rainy pattern coming up. That's going to do it for today. I hope you enjoyed, and more videos to come on tropical weather and just our national and local weather.